nothing in life is personal, permanent, or perfect, says Ruth King. What do you think about that?
I love this quote. I love this quote. And although it sounds very simple, it's so profound. And it's a great reminder for how this experience is common for all of us, that nothing in life is personal, permanent, perfect. Maybe, Anca, we can take each one and just like explore it a little deeper. With the personal, what comes to mind is all the mindfulness practices, and how sometimes we're very enmeshed with our thoughts and, you know, stories, or enmeshed with a certain feeling, and we become that feeling, and it kind of dwells with us, and it, you know, we just become so enmeshed with it, as opposed to taking that, you know, step back and realizing that we are not our thoughts and we are not our feelings. And to be able to do that is very beautiful and empowering, because once we notice them, then they can dissipate. And there's so much to say in this. Maybe I'll just share one thing, and then we can have more of a discussion. But noticing that our feelings come as messages, and they want to tell us something, and once they are heard, they feel seen, and then they go. So anger, sadness, happiness, whatever it may be, the way our body is made up is for them to come to tell us a message. When we suppress them or ignore them or fight them, they get louder because they want to be heard. Once they're heard, they're ready to go. And noticing it like also like a cloud, and children can, you know, also relate to this, seeing emotions as clouds, and that they just pass, and thoughts as clouds, and then they just pass. Yeah, I love this one.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about the personal one, Anca?
Personal as a word, yes, that's I'm thinking of persona, you know, it's an identity that we take on, and it's exactly that, we take on. It's not us. It's just like clothes that we put on, and masks that we cover ourselves with. And I also acknowledge that it's very hard not to take it personal. Maybe especially because of all these identities and of all these personas that we take on. And what I'm thinking of is a child, when they are really angry or upset, and they cry and they hit you and they shout, "I hate you." And it's tough not to take it personal, right? Because it hits your mother personality, maybe, or father, or how do you dare talk to me like that, or how can you say that? And we think it's also permanent if we go to the next one, right? Like if they say, "I hate you," they hate us forever. But it's just that they are so much in the moment, and they are ridden by these emotions. And if we allow them to be, and we don't take it personal, and we don't make it permanent, we don't think of it as permanent, then life is not perfect, right? And we just allow them to have their emotions. They go away, and then they come and they hug us, and "I love you, mommy." And that is also not permanent, and that is also not personal, and that is not, because what I'm thinking of is this too shall pass, right? These two shall pass, and we move on from experience to experience. But if we don't stay stuck, then we allow everything to be. It's hard. I would like to acknowledge that it can be really hard, and it takes practice to not take it personal.
I love how you intertwined all three together, with the personal and the permanent and the perfect. I really love that. And absolutely, I do think that it is very challenging, because we're used to making our identity be things. So we are what we feel, we are what we believe, we are what we think. And then it's so difficult to really detach from that because of many years where we felt that we are one with all these experiences. Do you feel comfortable moving on to permanent? Yeah. So with the permanent, I feel that we've touched on this in another episode also, how, you know, the physiological part of our body, how it works is that emotions only stay in our body for 60 to 90 seconds. And then they're ready to go. So they come and there's this chemical reaction and then they go. But the reason they stay longer, and if they do, it's our own mind creating, you know, the thoughts, the fears, the stories that have us stuck, that keep these emotions longer in our body and keep us stuck. So when we think about it, it's not permanent. None of it is permanent. And it's so difficult to know that and to remember that in the moment when life is hard. And sometimes it is hard and there are challenges and there are struggles, and it's so difficult to remember that. But also on the other side, you know, or on the other hand, and I don't want to speak of duality, but on the other hand, when things are more, you know, grounded and flowing and smooth, it is also difficult to remember the struggles and the challenges. But the beauty is to know that it's not permanent and it's always ever changing and it's always ever flowing. And I think that's really empowering also to have less attachment to any part of it.
Mm-hmm. When you said on the other hand, I went to another talk that we had, or maybe it was in the same one, where we spoke of mixed feelings. And it's a sign of maturation to be able to see on one hand and on the other hand. And whenever we get caught in this now, and I'm not going to get out of it, and it's so much, and then it's clearly that we are sometimes below 6, somewhere below 6. It's clearly a sign of not of maturation, of not enough maturation. And then that's how we can also get unstuck. If we have someone, if we go back to the child who says, I hate you, to have the adult present who says, I know, that's hard. And you can express whatever you feel. And that helps us move, because emotion comes to stir us up, to move something within. And then we allow it to move us, to literally move us, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And perfect.
So what is perfect, Anca? What is perfect?
Oh, so I'm a recovery perfectionist.
Same.
I think many of us, especially women, are, and it's so hard sometimes. I see that I go towards this word now. I hear myself going to the hard part. Perfect. The perfection is that we are just imperfect. And I remember now something that Maria Montessori said, that we cannot even develop if it were for the two of us to be perfect, there would be no communication, no evolvement, no place to evolve to, because we are just perfect. But the beauty of it is that we are not perfect, right? That we are perfectly imperfect human beings.
And that everything that's happening is exactly what's meant to happen at exactly this time and for exactly that reason. And I know it's easier said than done, but the practice of hindsight really works when we can look back and see, okay, this is why this happened in my life. And this is why I'm here now. And really looking back to understand how it was actually perfect for that time. And this is what needed to happen.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes. And for our children, how do we teach them to be perfect and to be perfectionist? Perfectionistic, I don't know the word in English, but I think it's every time that we acknowledge when they do something perfect, and we tell them, oh, that's perfect, and but we don't help them actually when we do that, right? And I like how you said in another episode that it's not the error, it's a trial. We can call them trials, not errors. And we need those in our lives. And to also be joyful and to show that to our children when they don't get it perfectly, because that's an opportunity to grow.
I like the motto of practice makes progress instead of the practice makes perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
And the idea of nothing is perfect, it also liberates a person from moving away from having to feel that they always have to do more and that there's something that they're going to reach, this some sort of illusionary perfection that if we keep striving, we're going to reach. So there's always this hamster wheel run of trying to get to something. But if there is no perfect, then it's more in the being state.